The story begins in Seoul, South Korea, where a man named In Chong is shown arriving at a restricted site with his partner to defuse an old American bomb. Decades ago, a war broke out between the United States and South Korea, and even today, weapons used during that conflict are still being searched for. In Chong finally locates the bomb and successfully defuses it. The scene then shifts to In Chong's pregnant wife, Soo Ji, who has come alone to a clinic for her medical checkup. As soon as she steps outside, In Chong calls her and excitedly asks whether they're going to have a baby girl or a baby boy. Instead of answering, Soo Ji gets angry. She's upset because In Chong is always busy with work and never has time for her, which is why she had to come to the clinic by herself again. While the two are arguing on the phone, a powerful and terrifying earthquake suddenly strikes the city. In Chong immediately takes control of his car and tries to escape the area, but collapsing buildings make the roads almost impossible to pass. Suddenly, his car crashes. Thankfully, In Chong isn't injured, so he gets out of the car and rushes toward his home, as half the city is left completely destroyed. Soon, news channels are flooded with reports about the earthquake. The cause is revealed to be a massive volcanic eruption located on the border between China and South Korea. Both countries suffer heavy damage, and it's revealed that this disaster had been predicted 3 years earlier by Professor Kangba. At the time, no one believed him, and now, after the earthquake, people regret ignoring his warnings. Disappointed and frustrated, the professor decides to leave South Korea. But just as he's about to go, the president's secretary arrives and forcefully takes him to an urgent meeting. When the professor enters the meeting room, he finds several high-ranking officials already there, including the presidents of South Korea and China. They ask him about the earthquakes that are expected to come next. The professor explains that 3 more earthquakes will strike very soon, and there is only one way to stop them. A nuclear bomb must be detonated beneath the volcano, creating a deep crater. Once the lava flows into that crater, the earthquakes will come to an end. The problem is that neither China nor South Korea has nuclear weapons. The professor then reveals that American nuclear warheads are stored near the U.S. Embassy in North Korea. He suggests that they secretly coordinate with North Korea and use those weapons without America finding out, in order to save millions of lives. However, both countries fear that if the United States discovers this secret mission, it could trigger a war. Still, with no other option left, the South Korean president plans a covert mission with the professor, and In Chong is also selected to be part of it. When In Chong tells Soo Ji about the mission, she becomes deeply worried and emotional, knowing that he could lose his life. Even so, for the sake of the country, Soo Ji gives him permission to go, and the moment becomes extremely emotional for both of them. The next day, a special team is formed for the mission, and plans are made to free a prisoner named Jun Pyong from a South Korean prison. He is the only one who knows where the American nuclear weapons are stored. The team splits into 2 groups and heads out to break Jun Pyong out of prison. Unfortunately, one team's plane crashes badly, killing the mission captain and several members. In Chong's plane also starts to lose control, but just in time, he manages to evacuate his team using parachutes. After the captain's death, In Chong is promoted and made the new mission captain. Soon after, the control room informs him that the crash plane was carrying the entire mission map. Without it, the mission cannot be completed. Acting quickly, In Chong and his team return to the wreckage, recover the map, and then move toward the prison. They finally reach the area. They are shocked to see that there are no guards stationed around the prison at all. The reason the prison was left unguarded was a massive earthquake that had struck the area some time earlier. All the guards had fled to save their own lives. Relieved by this, the team quickly enters the prison and meets a prisoner named Pyong. At first, Pyong is confused about why they want to free him. In Chong explains the entire situation to him, but Pyong refuses to help. However, when In Chong offers him South Korean citizenship, Pyong immediately agrees to join them. During this time, Pyong secretly steals In Chong's wallet. Inside, he finds an ultrasound photo and a mission map. After memorizing the map, he removes it, so the team will be forced to rely on him for the route, and he won't be betrayed. He then tells In Chong what he has done and returns the wallet. With the map gone, the team has no choice but to follow Peon's directions, since he is now the only one who knows the way. Everyone reluctantly agrees to listen to him. Peon suddenly runs off and heads straight to his home, where his wife is living. It turns out that his wife, along with her boyfriend, had framed him for murder and sent him to prison. Peon goes there to settle the score, but when he reaches the house, he can't find his daughter anywhere. His wife tells him that their daughter now lives in South Korea with her uncle. Meanwhile, In Chong and his team are searching the city for Peon. As they move through the streets, they suddenly hear gunshots coming from a nearby building. The team rushes inside and finds Peon there. He had been firing shots into the air, trying to scare his wife. In Chong captures Peon, and after hearing his entire story, he promises him that if he truly helps the team, they will reunite him with his daughter. From that moment on, Peon agrees to support the mission honestly. He immediately leads them to the location where the American nuclear bombs are stored. However, the area is heavily guarded by soldiers who are closely monitoring the site. As soon as they spot In Chong's team, the soldiers open fire, and a fierce gunfight breaks out between the two sides. In the end, In Chong's team comes out on top and quickly reaches the secret chamber where the nuclear warheads are kept. They begin inserting the warheads into a specially designed bomb. Meanwhile, Peon is locked away to make sure he doesn't cause trouble or attempt to escape. With only 49 hours left before the earthquake strike, time is running out. Peon tries to escape but is forced to return. It is then revealed that he is actually an agent working for the Chinese mafia. They want the warheads, and they need In Chong's help to activate them, since he's the only one who knows how to do it. To achieve this, Peon saves the team's lives and helps them get out of the facility. At the same time, Suji is crossing a bridge when a powerful volcanic eruption suddenly occurs. The bridge collapses and a massive tsunami surges through the river, taking countless lives with it. Suji is swept away by the current, but she bravely fights through the water and manages to reach the shore. Meanwhile, the professor receives shocking new information. The next volcanic eruption will not happen in 2 days as expected, but in just 22 hours. Even worse, the mine where the bombing was planned is incorrect. The nuclear bomb must be detonated in a different mine altogether. Before the professor can relay this critical information to the team, all communication lines are suddenly cut off. As the team moves forward, soldiers suddenly appear and open fire on them. That's when In Chong spots a truck leaking gas. He shoots at it, causing a massive explosion in an attempt to take out several soldiers at once. As he jumps into a car, with Peon to escape, Peon knocks In Chong unconscious, steals the warheads, and abandons the rest of the team before fleeing the scene. Meanwhile, word of the operation reaches the United States. American officials immediately order the mission to be shut down. This puts immense pressure on the South Korean president, forcing him to step back. He officially dismisses the operation and even resigns from his position. Orders are sent out to locate In Chong's team as quickly as possible so they can be informed that the mission has been canceled. At the same time, the United States pressures South Korea to return all the stolen nuclear warheads. Unaware of all this, Peon calls his Chinese mafia boss and informs him that the warheads have been stolen. He also schedules a meeting in the same city where his daughter is living. After some time, In Chong regains consciousness and manages to free himself from the handcuffs. Enraged by Peon's betrayal, In Chong gets into a fierce fight with him, causing the car to lose control and crash. Thankfully, both survive. With no other choice left, the two continue their journey on foot. As night falls, they take shelter in an abandoned supermarket, where they are lucky enough to find food to fill their stomachs. While they are eating, a large group of American soldiers suddenly surrounds the supermarket and is about to kill them. Just in time, In Chong's team arrives in a truck and opens fire on the American soldiers to save In Chong and Peon. In the chaos of the gunfight, In Chong and Peon get a perfect chance to escape, and they all flee together in a vehicle, firing back at the American soldiers chasing them. As they reach a bridge, a massive volcanic eruption suddenly occurs. The explosion is so powerful that the bridge collapses, and the operation is officially declared completely shut down. After this, the professor decides to leave South Korea. He boards a bus headed for the airport. Around the same time, Suji also arrives there. Suddenly, another volcanic eruption triggers chaos, and panic spreads through the crowd. When he realizes that the soldiers are preventing Suji from escaping, his anger intensifies. He immediately calls the president's secretary and orders her to steal all the necessary documents because he wants to restart the mission. The secretary does exactly that. The American president notices her but cannot stop her at that moment because he is under heavy security. Meanwhile, In-chong begins to believe that the mission can no longer be completed. But by now, Pyong has realized his mistakes. He creates a map for In-chong and then sets off to find his daughter. In the city, he finally finds her, but she doesn't recognize him. Just then, Chinese gang members arrive and demand the warheads. Pyong explains that he no longer has them and that he gave them to In-chong. Hearing this, the gang members shoot him. Moments later, American soldiers arrive and open fire on the Chinese gang. On the other side, the professor somehow manages to contact In-chong and tells him about the correct mine. However, In-chong doesn't know the exact route because he only has half of the map. To complete it, he heads to the city where Pyong was last seen. When In-chong arrives, he is stunned to see the city caught in a brutal warlike situation. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake again, and both sides flee in fear. In-chong tells all his teammates to evacuate immediately and decides to head toward the mine alone. Pyong, who knows the route, chooses to go with him. On the way, In-chong calls Suji, unsure if he will survive. Soon, the two reach the mine and carry the bomb toward the elevator. But when the power goes out, the elevator stops working. Seeing no other option, In-chong decides to go down alone with the bomb, even though there is no way back. But Pyong, already badly wounded, chooses to take his place. He tells In-chong that he is doing this for his daughter's future and asks him to take care of her. With those words, Pyong goes down, detonates the bomb, and completes the mission, sacrificing his life. In-chong manages to escape to a safe distance. Amid the violent earthquake shocks, Suji gives birth to a baby. In the final scene, In-chong is shown with his family, along with Pyong's daughter, and the movie comes to an end.